Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me. I'm the Fuzz, and I'm here to entertain. So, let's talk about my top 10 favorite cards in Spellweaver. Now, these cards are my favorite, not because they're powerful or anything, but because, well, they're just cool. Well, mostly because they can be used in more than one way. They're not just a big creature with a powerful effect or just some really powerful removal card. Those cards are great and all, but they're just not that much fun. For this list, it's cards that I think are the coolest that I hope there is more of in the future. So, without further ado, coming in at number 10, we've got the Contraptionist. This guy used to be a lot better than he is back when he put the thing on the board instead of just into your hand. The problem with him right now is that he only has like 4 targets, and of those 4 targets, these are, by the way, Obelisk of Unity, Totem of Swiftness, Dark Portal, which would be okay, I guess, but since demons are corruption, they can't really play him until turn 3, and Metabolic Overcharger is probably the only usable target. I like this guy because I like searching for stuff, and while he's kind of useless right now, as we get more cards in the game, he has a chance to become a lot better, because inevitably there'll be more artifacts, right? And inevitably some of them will be level 1. And that means more targets for Mr. Contraptionist. We hope to see you. Anyways, coming in at number 9, we've got Mr. Dread Knight. Ooh, the big scary corruption creature. Well, he's not that scary, really. This is the kind of card I just wish was really, really playable. You know, it's a big dude, right? Huge threat. Comes on the board, smacks 2 guys back to the support row. But unfortunately, he just doesn't do a whole lot. And it's not even his fault. It's just that, you know, Helm of Dominion exists, Karthus exists, and all that other stuff, and he just doesn't really have a huge impact. I don't think he's bad, but he's like just beneath the radar. But it's the kind of card I like. It's a big threatening body. You know, this guy comes on the board. If you don't happen to have removal, that's when you have one of those oh shit moments. This thing is really big. It's actually really good if you can play several in a row. You play the first one, you know, they bring their stuff back, and then you play the second one to send the crap right back, and then just bam, clock him in the face. So I think Mr. Dread Knight, I don't know if he'll ever really be playable. Just because the Dominion removal, for instance, is so good, and it's a lot of mana. Corruption generally plays like Succubus instead, because Succubus is A, flying, B, faster, and C, the value that it gives you, i.e. the 3 lifesteal, cannot be, like, it's an immediate effect that cannot be denied. You know, just putting stuff in the back doesn't matter if he gets him removed immediately. Whereas Succubus, you know, immediate value. But I want this guy to be playable. I like Dread Knight. What can I say? Well, anyways, coming in at number 8, we've got Tornado Outbreak. The quote-unquote nature removal. Well, it's the closest thing they've got to removal, really. 1 mana, bounce a creature back to hand. Really simple, right? But it's really neat because you can either use it to, you know, kind of, you know, push for tempo, which is usually what elves do with it, or maybe abuse some of your own broken enter the field effects, and that's what I like about the card. Because it can be useful in a control deck as well. It usually is paired with Corruption, where you can just keep recycling things like Succubus, keep stealing life, mesmerizing spirits, unicorns even. There's a lot of applications for this card, and that's why it makes my list. And it's cheap, so it's pretty easy to combo. Cool card. So, yeah, I like it. But now, number 7. I'm gonna stop doing this. Number 7. Call of Jalaya. Now, this card has seen an extremely limited amount of play. I mean, the only tournament it's ever been played was the tournament I played it in my Hermelian deck. It was used to search out unicorns and trees and stuff. And it's what it does. It searches out, well, there's not a lot more than that. Either any one of the small elves or the tree. It used to be able to search out Fae, but Fae now costs 3, so you can't search her out. Blech. It's a shame. I like search cards. I like being able to search for stuff. And this is like one of the only straight examples of searching. And this is a card that will, again, get better over time as there are more targets for it. I hope it does get better. I like being able to search. Searching is one of the reasons I originally liked the game Yu-Gi-Oh! Because you often were able to just keep getting the stuff that you want. So you didn't have to worry about trying to top deck an answer or something. You could always just search for the answer. So, yeah, more cards like this. It's not really very usable right now because outside of the tree, there really aren't any great targets. And, you have to pay 1 extra mana basically to search a tree. However, searching a unicorn could be useful, but you usually just play 3 or 4 anyways. You'll draw it when you draw it. But I hope it becomes useful sometime. I hope we live in a meta where this card is good and is played, because it's pretty cool. What can I say? Anyways, coming in at number 6. Burning Rage. This is one of the 2 power cards on this list. So, basically the only successful use of this card was by Senelion and his Burning Rage deck. And the idea was to use this card along with a whole bunch of Dominion life gain stuff. With basic Despina, you play this card, quickly ramp up, you draw a lot of cards because of your burn, and then you have this huge turn with Vampirism and you get a bunch of life. It was really cool, actually. Unfortunately, Vampirism got hit, Fireball got hit, Ramgat got hit, and life went to 20. And subsequently, this deck became trash. Which is a shame, because this card is really awesome, actually. It's definitely a high-risk, high-reward card. An extra... It's like a New Horizons that gives you extra cards when you play rage spells. Usually it's fireballs and stuff. But you take damage. So the idea is you want to be able to get enough life to keep this card going so you can reap the benefits. With a 25 life meta, it was a little easier because that extra 5 life did give you that extra cushion to do that. But as it is, it's just... Too many of the components were wounded, especially Vampirism. Because now that Vampirism does 3 damage to you, if you have it and Burning Rage, you're taking 5 damage per turn. Like, if at any point you don't have a big board, you just lose the game. Because you just take too much damage. Also, if you're up against aggro, between aggro beating you down and this card burning you, you just lose too much life. And you just are not able to, well, do anything. What a shame. It was a cool card. Anyways, number 5. Landslide. Tornado Outbreak's big brother, or sister, depending on how you look at it. So, this is... The interesting thing about this card is the only one that can affect everything in the game. That is creatures, artifacts, and spells. It doesn't destroy them, but it puts them, on top of the deck. It's really cool because you can hit your stuff and your opponent's stuff. I like to think of this card as the antidote to everything, because it literally can be used to answer everything in the game, but, doesn't go away. They just redraw. Now, you get rid of 2 cards, so it's kind of like a card advantage since you deprive them of 2 cards. Although, that really only matters against aggressive deck. Against control, it won't matter because they'll just redraw that stuff. But, this card is especially cool because of its partner in crime. A combo which is actually... No one has ever played until I tried it, which is weird because it seemed not that out of place. Maybe it's because that collar combo was just not played. But anyways, this card, and it's number 4, it's partner in crime, sort of. Not really, but, whatever. The Infernal Vultures. Why are they partners in crime? Well, you play Landslide, and then you play Vulture. And the 2 things you got rid of, they go in the bin. Get rid of any 2 things. Pretty good, but it costs 6 mana to pull off. Still really nice. Now, Vulture itself makes the list because... It's one of the only reliable mill techniques in the game. The other things like the Flash Delirium, that's all garbage. But this card is not. It's actually pretty decent. And the fact that you can mill yourself, and you can mill your opponent, and then you can shuffle stuff back. It's like a late game creature that is a milling mechanism that also can grow really large. They can also recycle your deck, which is really cool. Now, it is balanced in the way that it has 1 speed, so you can just chomp it with anything. If it wasn't flying, it probably would be really bad. But as it is, it's a really cool card. You can sometimes play it on turn 2, because then you play it, you mill 4 cards. If you milled a few creatures, well then this could become like a 3-3, and then a 4-4, and then a 6-6 or whatever. And I've actually won games with like 1 Vulture being played, and then my opponent just not having an answer to it. Awesome card. and I'm sure that it'll eventually find place somewhere. It's a demon, which is extra awesome because that means demons can use it, and they do because they have like 5 demons to choose from, and you know they have to use what they get. And this one is actually not too bad. So yeah, go Team Vulture, go mill everybody. Anyways, number 3. Instill Life! Now this card, this is another card that I tried to make popular, and it was also in the Hermelian deck. So why do I like this card? It's resurrect any 2 things! That's awesome! So why doesn't anybody use it? It's weird! I can't even remember the last time somebody played this anywhere. Well, it might have to do with the fact that it is an order, and a lot of order decks, you know, the ones that are like soldier based, they tend to like to just play quickly and aggressively, and the stuff they've got is usually not even worth bringing back. But the thing is, this doesn't say a level 2 or lower order creature, it's any creature, and there are some really nasty 2-drops you can bring back, like not Ramgak. Used to be Ramgak, but not anymore. Used to be Fae, not anymore, unfortunately. But Necromantic Cult, Ancient Treant, just to name a few. It seems like this card is just waiting for the right time to just come out and you know shine on everyone's day. Because if you think about it, bringing back two powerful creatures, that's pretty good. Yes, it's 2 or less, but that's not a problem. Again, you bring back like 2 cults. The idea in my Hermelian deck was you bring back 2 Ancient Treants, which are 3/4s. That's a lot of body. So yeah, that, or back when Fae was 2 mana, bringing back 2 Faes was usually extremely powerful because then you could just do lethal damage usually. Unfortunately, Fae got nerfed, and with her went my Hermelian deck, kind of. It got a lot worse. What a shame. But this card can be used in a variety of decks. Also, Flesh Sculptor is another card you can bring back. Unicorn is a card you can bring back. Mesmerizing Spirit. The list just goes on, and there'll be more creatures in the future that will fall under this category. So I think Instill Life is, much like many of the cards on this list, just waiting to come out. And I hope it does. Keep going, Instill Life. Number 2. Unstable Reactor. So this is a card that is basically the cornerstone of my Hazy Blue Reflector deck. And what makes this card so awesome is that it's a mechanism for keeping the energy going, but at the same time, the thing about it is, since it grows for each artifact, if you have more than one of them on the board, they will grow faster than they can get rid of their energy. So while if you just have one, you could keep one force field up indefinitely, but if you have 2, you can't keep 2 force fields indefinitely because they'll eventually explode. But when they explode, they do damage to the board. So they double as a kind of a board clear that you may be able to control as to when it goes off. And that's what makes this card really, really fun. Some of the best games I've played involved this card. And while the energy theme isn't really very popular right now, because outside of Wisdom, nobody can really make use of it, which is a bit of a shame. But in the future, I seem to be saying this for a lot of these cards, but it is kind of what it is. And I'm gonna use this card in anything that I can. I mean, if there's any artifact or energy-based things that come out at any time in the future, this card will be there, just waiting. Have faith, Reactor. We will see you soon. And now, the number 1, my favorite card. It's also part of my favorite deck, and some of you guys that have seen me play it probably have figured out what it is by now. Dum da da dum da da dum da da dum. Dark Portal. Whoa. What can I say? I just like the whole demon theme, and Dark Portal is basically what makes them be a theme, because the demons have no synergy other than this. And it's an insanely powerful card with a heavy drawback. Now, being able to search for demons is very strong. Your demons costing less is very strong. Taking considerable damage over time increasingly is very bad. So that's the idea. But it works really, really, really nicely. You play this card, you kind of put yourself on the clock. You're accumulating more and more power because you get more powerful demons each time. But you start to take more and more damage. So a Succubus gives you 3 life. But once this goes to 4, and then 5, and then further, you take more and more damage. So it's a race against the clock. It's like on one hand, you know, death is right behind you, trying to catch up to you, whereas you are racing to your opponent to kill him faster. And sometimes you end up killing yourself with this card. But you know what? That's what makes it awesome. It's almost a shame Bezarok isn't in the game anymore, because that's something you could search on 4. And I never really got a chance to try that out, because back when Bezarok was still around, there was no crafting. So you couldn't really, or like crafting was relatively new, and so I wasn't able to get a full collection yet, so I never had like 4 portals and 4 Bezaroks or something to try to try it out, and that's a shame. And also back then, Succubus was a lot better. But anyways, Dark Portal, I think, could very easily become a broken card if any more demons come out, if they're pretty good. Now, what is keeping it somewhat in balance is that, you know, Unicorn and Gnome Power will just kill it, and they frequently do. Now, also, the Herald of Despair, the card that recently was released, or, you know, they replaced the Hands of From Beyond, was supposed to work with this by removing the energy, but it's just a bit inconsistent. If they had made that card a demon, one you could search through this, that would have been something. But unfortunately, demons are going to remain a mostly funsy deck. Can be fairly effective. I mean, if the portal is unchallenged and you just keep searching for demons. Another option is to try to include things like unicorns to destroy your own portals, landslides, or whatever. But in any case, I just love playing with this card. And yeah, what can I say? It's what makes demons demons. If this card didn't exist, the demon tag would be completely worthless. But luckily, that's not the case. And I hope in the future we get to see more cards like this. It'd be cool if every aspect had a card like this that somehow is really powerful but has a drawback. No, of course, it would have to be thematic. I don't know. Nature would have something to do with elves. I don't know. Whatever. I'm just glad we have this card. And, well, I'm looking forward to using it in the future as much as possible. I hope whatever card Corruption gets at release is a demon that we can use with this. Might be Bezarok. I think Bezarok would actually be a very interesting addition to the demon deck. And whatever it is, can't wait to try it. Anyways, thanks for watching, and stay tuned. We'll be making my top 10 least favorite cards. Although that list will probably be a little bit less interesting, since a lot of those cards are people that are cards that people already don't like. Like, spoiler, Karthus will probably be on it. Whatever. Anyways, see ya.